If you like this podcast or the previous ones, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Frankie'sPod. It just goes to help fund the software and the hosting. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Tonight I'm talking with Daniel Hellings. Daniel served with the Mercians. He's got quite an interesting story. He was awarded the Queen's Gallantry Medal for his actions in Helmand. Hiya, Daniel, how are you doing?
Hi, right, mate.
Yeah, I'll start that again. Put my teeth back in. Well, welcome to the podcast and thanks
Cheers,
for coming on. Like I say to everyone, it's just like the normal 5 questions. Where did you grow up? What did you do? Why did you join the army? What did you do? Why did you leave? And what have you done since? So if you just want to start off with where you grew up and why did you join the army?
So, I grew up all over the place. My dad's ex-military. He did 24 years. So we grew up everywhere: Germany, Northern Ireland, Warminster. So I think that's one of the reasons I joined the army myself. It was just the life I grew up around. So he left in 2002. I joined in 2009. So it was just something I was always going to do, I think.
So what was it like actually growing up in the military? Did you you say you moved around a lot? And I've interviewed people, a couple of pads brats.
Yeah.
In you're a pads brat.
Yeah.
And that's not derogatory.
No.
For anyone who's listening. I know. I mean, I had kids. I've still got them. They haven't left. I mean, they're not here, but and when I asked them afterwards, like later on after we left the army and stuff like that, I said, "What did you think about growing up?" And they were like, "Well, it was strange going into Civvy Street." So when we moved back from Germany, and moved into the last camp I was on near Newcastle, and they went to a normal school, like a state-run school instead of an army school. They found it really weird, and the people in the state school found them weird as well because they had no accents.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah,
and they took a little while to acclimatise. They acclimatised quicker than I did getting out of the army. Put it that way.
Yeah,
but they found that a bit strange. How did you like?
So I think I was quite lucky. I mean, my dad got out of the army before he even went to high school, so I was quite lucky that I was only young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we always went to, apart from Germany, I think was the only place we would have gone to sort of a military sort of schooling, but the rest of the time we were just in civil schools. Anyway, I remember in Northern Ireland, I used to just go to a mixed school outside camp. We used to get the bus from the back gate and just go to a mixed school. And the gate used to be opposite a Catholic school, so there was always a bit of stone throwing when we used to come back at the end of the day. But I mean, like I said, I was young. My dad got out in 2002. I started high school in 2002, so it didn't really affect me. It was just normal.
Yeah, I suppose you didn't know any different anyway.
No, that's it.
Growing up that way.
No, so and we moved around as a battalion, so we were always in school with the same people. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the battalion would have been like the artillery. It does an arms plot. It's not like the corps where they move around separately and stuff like that.
No.
So yeah, I mean, my kids grew up, knowing the same kids from being born type of thing.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Like one big family almost.
Yeah.
That brings other problems as well, but we'll leave that there. So when you went down to the careers office, did you know what you were wanting to join or?
Yeah, it was always infantry was my first choice. So I had infantry, armour as a second choice, and then I think it was Royal Engineers as a third choice. My dad didn't want me to join the infantry because he was infantry, but he wanted me to go get a trade, all that stuff. But it was originally I wanted to join guards.
Right.
And I think there was a waiting list for the guards, so I ended up joining Mercian instead. I mean, it could have just been either Mercian recruiting sergeant, you know what I mean? So Yeah, so
that happens a lot, yeah.
yeah, that's it. So I think I went down. Oh, I must have been back end of the year, probably September, October time, and then they offered me a place in training in the December, but I ended up waiting till after Christmas and that. I have Christmas at home, and then I just started training in January.
Yeah. So where did you go for that, for your training?
ITC.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you find it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I went into it like people who are full sort of civvies. They've only had a civvy life. I think I sort of went into it with kind of a semblance of knowing what to expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So none of it was horrendous. I mean, I was cadets as well, so basic stuff like ironing, boots, stuff like that. It was fine, and it was exactly what I expected it would be. If anything, I expected more shouting from the instructors, but my section commander in depot was very firm in the belief that shouting doesn't achieve nothing unless you fucked up.
Yeah,
I'm not going to shout at you because it doesn't achieve. You're here to learn to be soldiers. You fuck up, you'll get beasted, you'll get bollocked.
Yeah.
But day in day, if I don't need to shout at you, why would I shout at you? I'm here to teach you.
Yeah, I was quite lucky. I went with. So I joined like at 16.
Yeah.
So long before Harrogate now. We had these junior leaders regiments, and the two troop sergeants we had were very, very like that. I mean, the troop commander we had was Sergeant Major Julian Fox. He was ex-para commando.
Yeah.
And old style.
Yeah.
Like when we used to go out on for infantry exercises or whatever, he'd take a blanket instead of a fucking sleeping bag. Because that was what I was used to. It's like, fucking hell, Fox an animal.
Yeah.
It was just, it reminded you like Gunny Highway. You know what I mean? But they were very much like that. But you heard lots of stories about from the other troops where some of the DS was quite bad, and I've spoken to people on podcasts where there's lots of been. Let's call it what it was. There was lots of bullying in training.
Yeah.
And not just like fucking shouting at and stuff like that. But
I think when I went through training in 2009, I think it was really sort of the training was starting to change. I think they were starting to bring in a lot more like rules and regulations. You know what I mean? I think a lot more of the physical punishment was sort of going out the window to an extent. Not the physical punishment. It means like a bit of battle PT, a bit of beasting. I'm talking like a good black eye sort of physical correction was sort of on its way out.
I mean, I think that was at the back end of like deep cut and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
I spoke to a guy who was there at the time, and it was like, fucking hell, what?
Yeah.
Let's not go too deep in that one.
Yeah.
So you've gone through training.
Yeah.
So you'd have gone. Was that straight to Catterick? Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The infantry do all their training nowadays. Well, infantry and armour. I didn't realise armour do their phase 1 in ITC as well now. That surprised me because that's changed.
That fucking surprises me. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's. I was speaking to a friend of mine, and it's. I don't even think they call it IT. Well, I think it's still called ITC, but it's called the Army Academy now, or something like that.
Yeah, I clocked that on the old Forces News and that. The change. Yeah. The way training's changed. I don't think you'd recognise it. I definitely wouldn't.
So I think it makes sense to an extent. The whole staying of everyone does basic infantry skills in the first sort of phase 1. So I guess if you can centralise it all, it makes things easier logistically.
Yeah. So sorry, what year did you join again?
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
I'm just making it note of that.
No.
So after training to your battalion.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah, a lot more. Well, see, I went. So I went straight from depot to support company.
Right.
Which I think I think it's more common now, but at the time, I think it was quite rare for a private soldier to go to support company because that's more. It was more for the senior blokes, you know what I mean, who'd done their time in rifle companies, and then they'd moved on to things like mortars, recce, guns platoon. But I ended up going straight to guns platoon, so that it was a bit more relaxed because it was the senior sort of blokes within a battalion.
Right.
But obviously, at the same time, a lot more. I'd like to think a lot more. I think a lot more was expected of you because you weren't just a rifleman. You know what I mean? Like I got dumped into a guns platoon, so now I was like, right, well, now I need to learn SF fire and GPMG systems and stuff like that. Whereas obviously, if you just get dumped into a rifle company, well, that's what you've done for the last 6 months. You're a rifleman, just like you were in depot. So yeah, it was weird. I did it sort of backwards, where I did a few years in support company and then got moved to a rifle company, whereas most people go rifle company and then support company. So I kind of did it backwards. Not our choice, but
Was that a good thing, do you think, or?
I think it certainly helped when I went back to a rifle company, because I'd got that experience and I'd learnt a lot off, the private soldiers within the support company, as well as the NCOs, and you usually get more senior officers within support company. The platoon commanders are usually more senior. Whereas a rifle company, you might have, it might be a 1 pip or a 2 pip in command of a platoon. Most of the time in support company, you're probably looking at sort of a senior lieutenant or a captain, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it helped massively, when I went to a rifle company. But then at the same time, a lot more was expected of me because I was only a bod, so I went to B company, and I think I was the senior private, the most experienced private soldier within the company.
Right.
So straight away, a lot more was kind of like, expected of me to sort of help out the young privates. I think I was one of only about 3 that had actually been on tour that was a private soldier within the company.
Right. Bloody hell. I mean, that was something that all changed, wasn't it? So
yeah. So it was it was interesting when I moved to B company. It was a lot of helping out with, like I said, the private soldiers, especially when it came to like pre-deployment training. And even some of the officers, because again they were relatively new to battalion as well. So there would be times where, one of the 1 pips might say, H, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that when it comes to sort of IEDs and stuff? Because that was kind of my, like, I guess you could say, sort of subject matter expertise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going back to a rifle company and sort of going back to sort of grassroots soldering.
Oh, good. So you mentioned you'd already been on a tour. What was your first tour?
So first tour was Herrick 12. So that was 2010, April to October, I think.
Bloody hell, you hadn't been in that long, really, had you?
No.
Something like that, Jesus.
Yeah, it was straight out of depot, summer leave, straight to Kenya for 6 weeks, come back, pre-deployment training, then on Herrick 12.
Fucking hell, yeah. Fucking hell. I mean, that must have been like a shock to the system. Like.
But the thing is, though, it's what you want, though, isn't it? But you join the army, you want to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had this discussion with a couple of friends of mine who were sort of mid sort of wind down of Northern Ireland before sort of Afghanistan, Iraq sort of time.
Yeah.
And I say to them, like, any soldier that joined during sort of Afghanistan, Iraq sort of era, they've joined knowing they're going to go. At some point, they are going to go.
Yeah.
So, it'd obviously been going on for a while already. So I knew I was going to go. That's why, I joined the army. That's why I joined the infantry to go and do it. So
you make a good point there. So like I joined the army because my brothers were in the army. And
yeah.
I come from Hartlepool, where in the mid-80s there was nothing there. Still isn't. And I've spoken to loads of people who they joined the army to get away from this, to get away from that.
Yeah.
They were in trouble with the police. They didn't want to be away, to get away with their families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I interviewed my old battery commander about a month ago.
Yeah.
And he ended up in, he got the full colonel. But he was CO Pairbright,
Yeah.
and he said something on that, on that podcast that I was like, it kind of like took me aback a bit. And I was
Yeah.
like, fucking hell, yeah, I never thought of that. And it's exactly what you said there. He said, he was CO Pairbright as Afghan and Iraq was happening, and the guys who were joining up knew they were going to go.
Yeah.
They knew, use guys that joined around that time.
Yeah.
You're right. Previous to that, before Iraq, before Afghan kicked off, and like you say, the winding down in Northern Ireland, there was that time, that period there, up like say from like I don't know, 98-ish on to say 2003, where all right, there was Bosnia going on, there was Kosovo going on. I did two tours of Bosnia.
Yeah.
But again, that was a very different, type of environment. Kosovo, again, very, very different to Bosnia and stuff like that. And it wasn't as kinetic. I hate that word kinetic, but it's a buzzword for everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
It just sounds a bit too war-y for me. You know what I mean? But he was saying that you think of all these guys who were joining then around that time that Iraq was in shit state. Herrick was fucking all over the place.
Yeah.
They were joining up, and they knew they were going out there, so they were joining up. So he was like, I've got all these, ages from 17 up to 25, 26 joining up, and he was just so like as the CO pair, right, proud of them. Proud of them wanting to join and stuff like that. So you're right what you say there. In my time, people joined to fucking get away from shit.
Yeah.
And you were joining to get in the shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, it's why it wound me up when I moved to B Company, we had a lad, not to name names, but we had a lad in B Company, and he went on the sick with a bum knee. So he didn't end up deploying to Afghan. But while we were out there, we found out he was on the R&R team in Cyprus. Right. And then when we got back, he was off playing battalion rugby. And I remember saying,
it happens, but
I remember saying to one of the medics, I said, because we was all stood around. We just got back and we was all stood around. I think we're down at the company hangar. And I said to the medics, he walked past, I said, how was he doing that? How was he playing rugby when he's just, he's just had a bum knee? He's not deployed because of this bum knee, but he's playing rugby. And the medic was actually his medic. He was like, actually, yeah, wait a minute. So he went over to one of the sergeants and said, what's he doing? Oh, he's playing rugby. No, he's not. He's downgraded. Oh, right. Yeah, well, what's he got to do to get upgraded? Well, he's got to do a CFT, PFT. Well, he did then the same day. Did CFT, PFT same day got upgraded? You know what I mean? It's just like a joke. Well, he
no, I get it.
He hid when we went through Cyprus on our decompression. He booked the day off.
Funny enough.
Yeah.
How you doing, lads? Here's your beer.
Yeah.
Smack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your first tour then?
So it was Herrick 12. We were attached to the Danish. The company I was part of, we were attached to the Danish. So when we went on Herrick 12, we had a Gurkha company, a Gurkha reinforcement company within One Mercian, just because we were low on manpower. So we were basically missing like B company. We didn't have a B company before Herrick 12. And then just before Herrick 12, B company was reformed, but we had A, B, C support company, and then G company, which was Gurkhas. So I was attached to the Gurkhas as a part of their sort of integral fire support platoon. And then we were then attached to Ambat, or the Danish battle group in Garesh. Us and C Company, so we were on one side of the Helmand River, and C Company were on the other side of the Helmand River, and we used to sit there, listen to each other get shot at and stuff like that. Like, oh, it's going off over in C Company's AO. But
yeah, fucking keep it over there.
But no, it was surreal. Yeah, it was surreal because we'd gone there, and you know, so you do your handover. We took over from Royal Anglians, and they'd done a winter tour in sort of Afghanistan. The winter tour was a lot less sort of kinetic as the summer tours in general. You know, not all the time, but in general. And you know, 6 weeks in, sort of nothing really happened. You know what I mean? And as sort of a young, inexperienced soldier, you know, who just wants to sort of get stuck in at the time, you know, you're seeing all this stuff about Afghanistan. You know, you've just spent 6 weeks walking around, nothing's going on, and you kind of start thinking, bit shit, this, isn't it? You know, bit boring. But then you'd speak to the locals, and they'd be like, "Oh, just wait till the poppy's harvested. Wait till the poppy's harvested in a week or so." And you're like, "Yeah, all right, okay, whatever." And then just woke up one morning, there were no civilians around. Everyone had just fucked off. And it was literally overnight. Everyone just gone, and then it just blew up. The whole AO just blew up. We got every call sign got contacted all at the same time by RPGs, machine guns. It was just mad, absolutely mental.
So, what was your first contact like?
So I was a Valor man at the time, and so this local we ended up. His name was Torjan, but everyone called him Tojam, the friendly Taliban. And he was playing both sides the whole way through the tour. You know, he was playing both sides. But anyway, he'd come with a friend of his on a motorbike, and we'd stopped to search him, and he was dead antsy. He really wanted to get away. You know what I mean? Mm. So it was, it's a bit weird, this. And we just come from a place called the Murder Wall. So we'd just come back, and we was heading back towards the patrol base. And we must have been about 100 metres from the patrol base, and he'd come past. So we'd searched him, and I turned to another Valor man, a lad called Bully. And I was like, it seemed a bit weird, that. And that was it then. An RPG come out from where we'd just come from. So they must have been waiting for us to walk past them. And then RPG'd come out, and then we took machine gun fire and small arms fire and stuff like that. From the intel that we got, there was about 30 of them had waited for us to sort of go past. Yeah. Luckily, no one was injured though. But that was a good fight. You know?
So the adrenaline kicked in straight away.
Oh god, yeah. I just remember sort of digging in with my combat spoon. You know what I mean? And the platoon commander, he was obviously on the radio. You had the MFC next to him. And the MFC is like, you know, sir, do you want mortars? And he's not listening because, you know, he's on his radio doing his own thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, sir, I just turned to the MFC and he actually wants fucking mortars. And then
fucking get him over there.
Yeah. He goes, hey, the Gurkha officer is like, you know, Hellings, get a smoke grenade out. You know, so I did. You know, got it out, got it prepped. Threw it, didn't fucking go off. I was like, for fuck's sake, you've left the pin in it. I fucking haven't. The pin's here. Just didn't go off. I turned to my right, and an RPG went off. Just as a Gurkha was running past, and it's dust cloud and that, and he comes out, his fucking helmet's like this, you know, on the side of his head. And I just looked at him and said, fucking hell, mate, you're lucky. And he just looked at me and went, it's fucking bullshit, mate. So yeah, it was crazy. And then, like I said, you get into the patrol base, you know, your adrenaline's going, you're still shaking, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was nuts, and that was it. Then it just every day, you know what I mean? It was just constant fighting.
I suppose you can get too used to that as well.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. You know, you take sharpshooter fire or whatever, single round engagement, you wouldn't even stop. You get to a point where you wouldn't even stop. You should be like, fuck's sake, you know what I mean?
Become ambivalent to it. I mean, that's quite dangerous, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively.
But it happens. You can't.
Yeah. Even as a Valor man, you know, you can come very sort of blasé about it, and I think it comes with experience because obviously you start learning the ground. You know what I mean? You start learning what was there. You know, you could look at a path or whatever and go, well, that weren't there 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? So, me and the other Valor man, we started having sort of like, our sort of motto was, if in doubt, stamp it out. You know what I mean? You can have a little look in that. If you still think, you just fucking give it a tap.
Okay, now.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way: the NCOs didn't like it.
Yeah, I bet they fucking didn't.
No, I did once where I turned around and took a step back as if I were talking to the section commander, and he looked at me and was like, "You think I didn't fucking see that? Stop fucking doing it! I've told you this before. Stop fucking doing it. I don't know what you're about, Evo."
Come on, I've got to have something to do.
Yeah, it's like I said, you just become desensitized to it all. There was an object in the middle of the path, and the Valor man who was taking point on that day, just like, I was like, "Oh, Brookie, go check that out there, mate." Just walked up to him, boosted it. So yeah, sound. You just think, fucking hell. We've had some.
I've known incidents where that's gone terribly wrong.
Oh yeah. One of our Valor men, not in my company, in another company, he was going to do, if in doubt, stamp it out, and he sort of looked at it again. He was like, So I went down, did a bit more sort of digging, and yeah, there was a pressure plate there. And he was about ready to step on it because he thought it'd be fine. You know what I mean? So
yeah. It happened when we went to Iraq in 2006.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should mention this really. Yeah, I mean, there's no names. We just got there, and the company that we were taking over from, we went over as a battery to do patrol and stuff like infantry role and that. And the guys who were leaving there, we were taking over from, they went out for a familiarization patrol.
Yeah.
And when this is like ID alley, you've got to be careful on this roundabout and stuff like that. What's that over there? Oh, it's fuck all, kick it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an introduction for us, because I fucking blew up and took him out.
Yeah, that's it. My first experience of an ID strike, it was the same thing. We were sort of edging the edge of this field, and one of the interpreters, just lazy, decided to cut the corner. And our MFC turned round, said to him, "Oi, Asher, get back on the path." "Oh no, it'll be all right. It'll be all right." Boom, gone. And that was behind me. I just heard that bang. It was like something out of a film. Turned around, you got all the dust. There's a helmet rolling out with this dust in there, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" And just because people, got lazy, he stepped out the lane and decided to cut a corner instead of just going around it. You know what I mean? And yeah.
To say shit happens, but drills there for a reason, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. Very surreal experiences. Yeah, it's just something you never get used to, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So what was it like coming back from there then? You mentioned like the decompression in Cyprus.
Yeah. To be honest, bag of shit. It was 24 hours.
That was what I was going to lead on to.
Yeah, 24 hours in Cyprus. I mean, it achieves nothing.
Yeah.
When we flew into Cyprus, we were sat in the hangar getting a brief off some RAF bloke, and fucking range going next door. A range kicked up next door. So you look around, fucking everyone's digging in with the fucking eyelids. You know what I mean? And he's just like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to say there's a range going." So we'll just spend 6 months getting shot at.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't. I mean, I think, I'm pretty sure we lost a guy actually while my company was going through R&R. I'm pretty sure we'd lost another guy. So that kind of put a damper on it. You know what I mean? But our battalion, our battalion got hit hard on Heritage 12. I've seen things say I think it was our worst losses since sort of Korea or something like that in terms of percentages.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, you got back, and I don't know, it was nice to be home, obviously. You know what I mean? Home, young, got loads of money because I've just not spent fuck all. But Yeah, it was interesting because we got home around bonfire day, so that was kind of interesting. Yeah, I remember walking back from a train station and some kids had set off some like firecrackers in an alleyway and sort of fucking jumped over a wall. So yeah, it was.
So the decompression in Cyprus, I've spoken to people about that
Yeah.
who've gone through it. I mean, I never went to Afghan, so
Yeah,
I never experienced that. And basically, I mean, the idea was for you to chill out for a bit before you come home.
yeah,
Before that, and tours I've been on and stuff like that, you'd come back and you'd go straight back. That's it, and the next thing you know, everyone's gone downtown and they're kicking shit out of everyone. And it happened. It really did happen at the time, and it still does.
yeah.
But speaking to people who've gone through the decompression in Cyprus, they've all said to me it wasn't long enough.
No.
Everyone wanted to get home.
Yeah.
But they should have been kept there for a good few days, even maybe a week.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you could try. Could you imagine trying to keep someone in a camp like that for a week?
It should have been. Personally, I think it should have been either one or two ways. Either you didn't do it, or you did longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And have more briefings and stuff like that, and more talking.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it counselling then. More of that instead of just these are a load of beer, kick shit out of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what usually turns into, from what I can gather.
No, it was like I said. It was just. It was. I think it was more of a box ticking thing for the army. I think more than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give the blokes in Cyprus something to do, I guess.
So it was a fairly quick turnaround for your next tour, then, wasn't it?
Yeah. So next tour was Herrick 17. So what would that have been? I think it was 2012, 2013. So sort of October to April. So yeah, but that was night and day. That was a completely different tour. It was quiet. I think I think a lot of that was down to the fact that the Taliban knew we were leaving, so why bother?
Yeah.
It
was a fucking waste.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was more physically demanding that tour, I think, because we ended up closing a lot of locations down. So we ended up closing two patrol bases and 2 FOBs down within that 6-month period. So it was more physically demanding. Whereas Herrick 12 was, you go out, do a bit of fighty, do stag, get your head down. You know what I mean? There was a lot less bullshit. And that's one thing I realised is there's a lot less bullshit when there's stuff happening.
Yeah, because you haven't got time for it.
No, that's it.
Boredom breeds bullshit.
Yeah.
Not too much about it, especially coming from the top.
So
it really does.
Yeah. So Herrick 17. Yeah, it was a different tour, a completely different tour. We had the odd engagements, and unfortunately, we did lose. Well, we had a lad who was injured in an IED strike, and he ended up killing himself later on afterwards. So yeah, that was rough. And we did end up losing a guy from another company. But in general, it was a lot quieter, just a lot more demanding. So we'd moved into a FOB called Wahid, and the timescale we were looking at, and the fact we were sort of an understrength company because we didn't deploy with a whole company because we didn't need the manpower.
Yeah.
If you were on stag at 1 o'clock in the morning, that was you were up for the day. And then the rest of that day then would be spent sort of ripping stuff down, getting stuff ready to get moved out. It was a grueling 2-3 week at the end, knocking down one of these FOBs. It was horrendous. You had no food, no amenities because it was all going, you know what I mean? And then the Gurkhas took all the credit. Yeah, that was great.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, different tour completely. I think you could probably compare it to sort of earlier Telex to later Telex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You speak to guys, the older guys in battalion who've done like Telex 11 and then like Telex 7, whatever. Telic 11, they someone would say it was like a stag on tour, you know what I mean? Whereas the earlier Telic's a lot more, kinetic action, you know what I mean? So
yeah, there's a lot of shit going on.
yeah. So, but yeah, but by that point, I think I'd lost interest in the army.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit then.
Yeah.
And talk about what we all want to hear. The hero of the hour. Sorry, that sounded quite fucking blatant. I didn't mean that way. Sorry. So what happened for you to be awarded the Queen's Gallantry Medal?
So we were on a patrol, or we'd organised a couple of patrols, and it was kind of a patrol led by the A&A, as a kind of sort of let them start taking more of the lead, and they decided to go to. Well, we called it, I think, off the top of my head, like I said, it was a long time ago. I think we called it like Tango 3 Bravo or something like that. It was just a disused set of compounds along the MSR up to the vehicle checkpoint at the bridge. And they've been told, look, go round it, don't go fucking through it. But they decided that they wanted to go through it. So there were a couple of us that went with them. There was me, another Valor man, the sort of liaison for the A&A. He was a drum major from Scots, and he was kind of like a liaison for him. Section commander. There were just a couple of us, a handful of NATO ISAF guys to go with them, and we were at the back, they were at the front, they were leading, and they decided to go down an alleyway, which bad news anyway, but they did. And the first guy. No, he wasn't the first guy. I think he was like the third guy in the patrol, stepped on an ID, took himself out. So he was like, right, okay, we'll take over from here. So I said to the drum major, I said, look, Ince, you ready to go? Like, so yeah, sound. So we went up, and I must have got, down the alleyway. There was the third guy was on the floor, he was injured, and then the two guys in front of him had stayed still. So I'd got up to the injured guy, and then I was probably about 5-6 feet from the other guy who'd gone still. And I just remember saying to him, right, don't fucking move. And he took a step backwards and stepped on another ID.
Fucking hell.
Obviously just a loud bang. Everything went dark, you know what I mean, and ended up on my ass. So we come back out the alleyway, or they must have done, and I did a little bit later. I came back out the alleyway and, sort of brushed myself off. And then it was sort of umming and ahhing about what we were going to do, because obviously the alleyway was obviously riddled. Do we wait for EOD? Do we figure out another way round? All the shit options when you've got 3 guys injured in an alleyway. So, I just volunteered. I said, look, I'll just go back up. I'll go back up. I'll clear the alleyway from the start properly, and we'll do it that way. So basically, just went up by myself, and just cleared a route for the stretcher bearers to get through, and treated what I could when I was with them, and then we got them caddy-wrapped and stuff like that. So not much, just did my job, Not really much else.
You sound very humble about it. You do sound very humble about it.
It's just one of those things.
I've read some of the stuff about it. Obviously, when you come on. There's quite a nice write-up in the Telegraph about you disobeying direct orders and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. Yeah. So
was that true? Was that right?
No, I don't know where that's come from. I think it's just media sensationalizing things.
Keep it in. It sounds great.
Yeah, it wasn't disobeying orders. It was just like, look, I think it was more of a conversation. Look, sir, it's not going to fucking work. Trying to climb over these fucking 10-foot walls isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Just fucking go and get them. The safest and the quickest way would just be go back up there and hope nothing else happens. So
how long did it take you to clear it?
So it was about an hour. Yeah, it was about an hour, and we had 4 more hits while clearing it. And I remember my section, one of the section commanders was behind me, a fair distance, and he was like, "H, how did your weapon get up there? Because I didn't have my weapon on me." He's like, "How did it get up there?" I was like, "Oh, I swear I was fucking stood a minute ago. Or I was stood there when the second ID went off." And he was like, "You fucking lucky bastard." I was like,
Surprised nobody complained you'd left your weapon.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
fucking hell.
The force of it was enough to... Because I had some D-cell batteries in my pocket for the Valor, and they were just powder. You know what I mean? So...
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you were lucky.
Yeah, lucky time. Yeah. Yeah, well, I remember running back, all sort of decorum went out the window, and I just sort of ran back down the alleyway. And as I was clearing it again, I'd realised I'd stepped over at least one ID because I'd found them. I was thinking, fucking hell, that could have gone badly.
Just a bit.
Jesus. Yeah, like I said, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things that had to be done.
Yeah, you're doing your job. But
yeah,
you were rewarded for it. So, what was it like being told you'd been put forward for it? Did you feel like you didn't deserve it, or?
To be fair, I was told, and to be honest, it was just kind of like, fucking hell, all right, fair enough. So I remember I was at the vehicle checkpoint about a week later, and some guys come up to relieve us, and they're like, "Oh, H, you've been given an MC." And I'm thinking, fucking hell, military cross, oh, nice. No, mercy and coin. All right, so yeah, the CO come up and he's given the OC a mercy and coin to give you. I was all right, okay, sound. But yeah, it was. I remember being told. So, God, what must have been like a year later, because obviously they got to go through the whole process and that. And
yeah,
I think I was at the med centre, and I got a phone call from the sergeant major. He's like, "H, where are you?" So I'm in the med centre, sir. So we need to get your ass back ASAP. Need to go to see the RSM. And I'm thinking, fucking hell. When you start playing through your head, like, have I done anything that bad that could get me in trouble at the RSM?
Yeah, go see the RSM. What have I done?
So yeah, he's like, you need to fucking see the RSM. And like I said, it's like, you start thinking like, fucking hell, like, what have I done now? Like, it's got to be pretty bad to go and see the regimental sergeant major. You know what I mean? I was thinking, I've not done anything that bad. So, get back. And we were on Quick Thorn as well, that whole period where the prison guards were looking at going on strike and they were going to bring the army in and stuff like that. So I ended up, sprinting back to my room, polishing my boots and stuff, thinking I'm going to get in trouble here. Went down to the RSM's office and he's like, "Right, you're in with the CO." Thinking, fuck's sake, the fuck does the CO want me for?
Really?
Yeah, so I get marched into CO's office. CO's there, battalion twice's there, battalion adjutant's there, RSM's there, and he's like, "Do you know why you're here?" "No, sir, not a clue." So right, well, you've been awarded the Queen's Gallantry Medal. I was like, "All right." Like, yeah, well done, congratulations. So cheers, sir. He's like, "What do you think you're here for?" And I just said, "Oh, well, to be honest, sir, I was hoping I'd been made redundant." And he just looked at me, he's like, "You're not that fucking lucky, get out." And that was it, really. Just got marched back out, then I had to go see the company commander and company sergeant major. And then that was it. Then it was sort of the mad dash to get sort of blues ready and stuff like that for me and everyone else who was going down to the palace to be awarded and stuff. So, yeah, That was it, really.
So what was that like going to Palace?
It was good. It was really good. It was hot though, really hot being in blues all day. So you just go in and then you're just dumped in a room with like hundreds of other people who are all getting stuff, and you just go through one at a time. And I was the last one to go through. So I can imagine everyone by this point was pretty bloody fed up of being sat in there in the main hall and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, you go out. The Queen was stood there, and you know, she says a little thank you to you and stuff like that, and how proud she is. And then you know when she's finished with you, because when she shakes your hand, she sort of pushes you away. Yeah. So,
well, piss off.
Yeah, basically. And then I just went outside and ended up doing a load of interviews for all different sort of news agencies and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a good day, really good day. Mum, dad, girlfriend at the time were there. So yeah, it was a really good day.
Yeah, I can imagine it being a fantastic experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah.
And it was back to the battalion, and you were the hero of the hour with your medal.
Yeah. So I think so. So our RSM was getting. I think he got an MBE. He was down there at the time, and we all asked him, "Was like, yeah, so get tomorrow off or what?" And he was like, "Well, you'd have to speak to your company sergeant majors." And because I was in guns platoon, our guns platoon was like 100 men strong, so we had our own sort of sergeant major, and he served with my dad, so you know I always got on quite well with him. Right. Yeah, so I texted him. I was like, "Yeah, sir, do I have to come in tomorrow?" He's like, "Nah, mate, enjoy your time off." So yeah, sound. Cheers, mate. So yeah, that was all right. And then yeah.
So let's move forward a bit.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you were like you were getting a bit disgruntled.
Yeah.
With the army after the second tour. Was that when did you decide then you wanted to leave, or?
So I'd actually signed off before Herrick 17, and then signed back on subsequently. Stayed on for the tour. But I think for me it was just more a case of, you know, so we've just been to Afghan, you know, on a pretty bad tour. And then you get back to the UK, and you know, to an extent, you're treated like a child again. You know what I mean? So you know, I know a lot of guys who sort of got out after Herrick 12. So it was just, and I just couldn't really see a future. It was. I remember having a PDR with my platoon commander on Herrick 17. You know, like the appraisal things. Yeah. And he said to me, he said, "Look, H, you know, if you got keen again, you know, and got back into it properly, you know, could be a sergeant major, you could be an RSM." And I just said to him, I said, "Sir, look, sir, you know, I'm not that interested. I don't see, you know, and I'll probably get some hate for it, but I just didn't see a future. You know, I was already doing a Lance Corporal's job, basically, just not getting paid for it. Words my company sergeant major said. You know, I'm doing the job already. I'm not getting paid for it. I don't wear it. I just do it." And it was like, so, you know, I go to do my Lance Corporal course. I'm still doing the same job. Go do my full screw course. Still the same job, but just more responsibility. Sergeant, basically same job, more admin and paperwork. And then you get stuck with, you know, then it's basically a desk job from sort of there up. You know, it didn't really interest me. I'd tried transferring previously between sort of Herrick 12 and 17. I tried transferring to the Med Reg. I tried transferring to EOD, and again, both of those times it got sort of fobbed off by the unit, and yeah, I just lost interest. I knew Afghan was finishing, so it was kind of like, well, you know, once Afghan's done, you know, I didn't really like camp
Yeah, I
life.
can see it. You've been up to the, you've done the highs.
Yeah,
You've been. It's like I've told other people, because I went out in 2003 and tell it
yeah,
on the war,
yeah,
and you're out there war fighting, you're doing your job that you trained for forever,
yeah,
especially in the artillery because you don't get to do it that often,
yeah,
and it's like the highlight your career,
yeah, yeah,
especially and you come back from that and you think, what else is there?
yeah, yeah,
I've done that. I've climbed Everest almost.
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing else to keep you going really.
No, that's it. And like I said, I wasn't interested in doing promotion courses. I'd been on a I'd been on the pre course for the Lance Track course, and I just didn't interest me. And I was getting to a stage where it was really a case of, do I, I either need to get out now, go do a course, or get out now, or go do a CADA. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be one of those blokes, those 22-year privates. You know what I mean? So it was, and the army's doing a lot more nowadays to get rid of those blokes anyway.
Yeah, that started a long time ago.
Yeah,
I swerved it all.
yeah, yeah. So no, I just wanted out. I wanted a normal sort of, civvy job, and I got to say, I like my civvy job. I do overtime, I get paid for it. I don't get mucked around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't I'm trusted just to get on and do my job, and get left alone. You know what I mean? So, I've got a wife, 2 kids. Yeah, it's. I remember having that conversation with my platoon commander because he come to me. He's like, "Oh, so you binned off the CADA, you binned it off." I was like, "Yeah." This was just before Herrick 17, my daughter had just been born. And he was like, "Oh, so you binned the CADA off?" I was like, "Yeah, sir. I mean, not being funny, sir, but got other priorities at the moment. I want to spend the last bit of my time because we were going to Kenya, coming back. Then we had like 6 weeks, and we were going to Afghan. And I was like, "Look, sir, I'm not being funny, but I want to spend the time I've got with my daughter who's just been born. So doing the CADA is not anywhere near the top of my priority list at the minute. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I get that. Yeah.
It's it's. I can see why people struggle getting out. Especially those who've been in a long time, because obviously, it's not like prison, but you do get that. You do get indoctrinated and stuff like that. People find it hard to adjust back to civil treatment. I know my dad did, because he did 24 years. It's all he knew from 16 to 40. So. I understand it. So I think I was quite lucky in a sense that I only did 6 years. So I was still quite young. I found it quite easy to adjust back to sort of civilian life. So yeah, it's.
So how did you find the resettlement side of it? The transition into. You said you found the transition. I found
the transition right, but the help, I guess you could say, that you get off the army, it's a fucking joke. So they have a career transition partnership or something that it's called.
Yeah.
And I went and did the course. I think it was like a week-long course or something like that. So I went and did the course. And I remember sitting there being asked to make a fucking collage. Cut stuff out of a fucking magazine and stick it onto a piece of paper. And I remember sitting there thinking, what the fuck? It's like, you're getting talked to like a fucking child. And I remember just sitting there thinking, they can fuck off with this. Like, what a fucking waste of a week of my life that I'm never going to get back. Like, I could have been using to actually, find a job.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But
I mean, I didn't have a good time of mine, really. I don't think you were told. You weren't told the right things. You weren't given I wouldn't say the wrong advice. I mean, they've got this like this criteria or this fucking program that they've got to deliver to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've got the experience. I mean, again, with mine, it seemed to be that it was a lot of like, ex-sergeant majors and shit like that doing it.
Yeah.
Who just, they left the army and got into that job
Yeah.
type of thing. And they didn't have the life experience to like tell you what it's like over there and what you should be doing. You didn't get any advice on housing. You got like an hour. I didn't even think it was an hour. Oh yeah, you've got to apply for. I mean, you talk about the guys who were stuck in for forever. That was me.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to leave ever. And you're right. You do get institutionalized, and you get to a point where it's your pension. You get pension trapped, so you want to stay in for you're 22, you're 24, whatever.
Yeah.
And again, and I say like I'll openly admit that was me. I would have done anything to stay in.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough I was downgraded for a long, long time in the army. And I was towards the end. I was fucking saying I was diabetic as well.
Yeah.
So normally that'd be a right, off you go. Like, and I was quite lucky the job I was doing that it kind of helped me. They weren't going to get rid of me, which was good. Fucking hell, yeah. But the help from the career transition partnership, it didn't help. It didn't give me enough knowledge.
No.
Everything I had to do in the end, I was like off my own back.
Yeah.
And the regiment didn't fucking help either. Once you're going, it's fucking bye bye.
See, I was quite lucky there. So I was medically discharged in the end. And you know what? I couldn't have been happier. I remember coming back from my medical board and, it's decided, medically discharged, brill. And I remember seeing the sergeant major and giving him this paperwork. He's like, so he's like, did you fail your medical board? And I could just think in my head, like, well, you say fail, but, and I loved it, mate. I had, 6 months paid, at home, because my paperwork said all military duties are to cease. So I had just 6 months paid at home, which more than anything helped me, start looking at sort of civvy stuff. People who sign off, and I've seen blokes who sign off and they get no help or no time to really go and do stuff they need to do to get ready. They might get a month at the last month to really sort their lives out.
Days,
yeah. So I was lucky because I had 6 months there where, I went and did a slinger signaller course. I did agency work and then managed to get myself a permanent job. And I was sorted. I had a job before my last day was up. You know what I mean? It was basically, this is my last day in the army. Right, well, you can start the following Monday. You know what I mean?
I was the same. I started a month before I got out.
Yeah.
So the tax on that first month was shit.
But
when I was living on camp still as well, it was weird.
I was. So unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away not long before I got out. So my wife ended up moving back home, with her mum to sort of be there for a mum. So I had the house to myself for like 3 months. It was brilliant. And I remember de-kitting the day after my medical board because the sergeant major was like, right, there's a couple of guys de-kitting tomorrow. Go de-kit with them. So yeah, sound. And so I went in, de-kitted the next day. And then I had to go and do my clearance chit. So I remember being stood in BHQ and some company sergeant major comes, where's your fucking uniform? De-kitted. I haven't got it. It was great. Not got it. Right, we'll just
fucking
be quiet.
Clearance chits are just bollocks, aren't they?
Well,
no. Well, what are you going to do? Keep me in?
Well, you know what? Took the words right out of my mouth. I said that to the clerk because I didn't do it. I couldn't be asked. So I said to her, what if I don't do it? Well, you've got to do it. Yeah, but what if I don't? Yeah, but you've got to. Yeah, but what if I don't? If I don't do it, nothing's going to happen. The Army Medical Service has decided I'm not staying in, so nothing's going to happen. So I just didn't finish doing it. It was great. I loved it.
If you don't mind us asking, so what were you MD'd for?
So it was So I suffered for a while with shin splints, for quite a while with shin splints. And then I struggled. Yeah, and then I struggled a bit with combat related PTSD and comorbid depression, I think they called it. So yeah, so I mean, to be fair, the medical officer I had, you know, after a while he was like, "Look, mate, you just want a medical discharge." I was like, "Well, I'll take it." You know, I yeah, I need a change. Like, you know, it was just a low point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think that was them trying to fob you off as well, or him helping you?
I think it was more he was trying to help. My unit was trying to fob me off.
Right.
So because I'd moved to 2 Mercian, now again, some people might disagree, but a lot of guys felt like because you weren't originally 2 Mercian, you were kind of fucking treated differently to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it happens. It does happen.
yeah. So even though I was going through the DCMH, and I'd already started my medical sort of discharge process, my unit or my OC was actively trying to SNLR me instead. To a point where I even rang a solicitor who specialised in military law about what the legalities of it was. You know, can I be services no longer required if I'm already going through the medical discharge route? So yeah, but luckily, you know, nothing came of that, and the medical discharge came, I think, before he could sort of really start kicking a fuss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but stuff like that really pisses me off because I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I have seen it happen. Guys that were due to fucking, you know, they were going down that road for medical discharge, and somebody somewhere went, "Well, no, he's not working. We don't fucking want him here." And you're just like, "Fuck off, leave him alone."
Yeah,
it's in your life, you know. It's as if sometimes it's as if it's like a personal vendetta by somebody.
Yeah,
you know. And it shouldn't be that way. But
well, the real sort of turning point for me was, so I was looking at trying to go down the Sandhurst route because I've got A levels, stuff like that, and you know, my support company commander, he was more than happy with it. I had an interview with the regimental adjutant who'd come to Catterick. He seemed happy enough. Had a chit chat with an interview with the CO. He seemed happy, and that's why I got originally moved to B Company, because they're more junior officers that had come out of Sandhurst, so sort of shadow them, you know, sort of pick their brains about what it's like. But nothing ever came of it. So when I was on Herrick 17, the company 2IC come over when I was in the smoking area, and he was like, "Oh, do you know what happened with your Sandhurst application?" I was like, "No, it just never happened." So, well, the CO had told the company commander to block it. And I was like, "All right, okay." And that pissed me off because, you know, one of the core tenets of the army, integrity. And it was kind of like, well, if the CO didn't think I could do it, why don't you just fucking tell me? You know, why piss around with it? You know, why get an OC that doesn't know me to block it? You know what I mean? And that was kind of, that was kind of the last sort of straw.
It's going to put a bad taste in your mouth, isn't it?
Yeah. It pissed me off. Yeah, because like I said, they bleat on all the time about integrity, and that bit pissed me off. I'd rather them just say, "Look, mate, I don't think you can do it." All right, fine, no problem. You know, or go do a CADA or something, and then we'll look at it again. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just like I said, I became very disillusioned with the army. You know, it's
it's understandable.
Say again.
It's understandable.
Yeah, I just don't think I was ever as, I don't know, I guess you could say, sort of invested in it as some other people are. You know what I mean? So yeah. Is what
So
it is.
now you once you'd left the army,
Yeah.
you mentioned there that you had like touches of PTSD, and
Yeah.
how did you get on with that? Did you have to seek more treatment or?
So I ended up getting they ended up putting me on some antidepressants for a bit. And I think they basically decided that it would get better on its own, away from sort of the military. You know what I mean? There's still times. You know what I mean? There's still moments where you hear a song or whatever. Or so I went to the Arboretum, and that was rough. When you see the wall with all the names and that on.
Yeah.
And I remember, standing there, and it was the same for my dad, because obviously he seeing names of blokes he knew, you know what I mean, on that wall. And then, I'm seeing names of, blokes that I knew, and, I just burst into tears, you know what I mean, in the middle of the Arboretum.
And it's not something they've not seen before.
No. So,
yeah.
But no, I think I've definitely changed. I'm a lot. I'm not as sympathetic anymore to a lot of stuff. I'm a little bit desensitized to a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? As horrible as it sounds.
Yeah.
Like when it's going to sound horrible to say, like, but when my wife's dad passed away, don't get me wrong, obviously I love my wife to bits, but it sounds horrible. It's just kind of like sick of hearing it, you know what I mean?
No, I know. I get what you mean. It's like the shit I've just gone through, what we were talking about before I come on.
Yeah.
When they asked me about, like, so mine's mostly not like combat stress or anything like that, or even PTSD. It's about loss and handling the loss. And we were talking about it, and I got, I spoke about my mum dying, my dad dying, and this, that, and the other. And the only time I got fucking upset and like basically started crying was talking about the two of my dogs that got put down.
Yeah.
And it was that, it was that I couldn't handle.
Yeah.
It's fucking quite strange. All just about, doing me dogs. You know what I mean? I was fucking.
Yeah.
I thought afterwards. I thought that was strange, and the guy said to me, "No, it's not. It isn't. It's because that's what you've latched onto, and everything else happening round.
Yeah.
Like you say, you become desensitized to it, and everything gets poured back in. It's got to have a route out somewhere, and that route out was that. And your mind fucking plays tricks on you. It really does. Your mind can fuck you right up.
Yeah.
It's just what it does. You can't turn it off sometimes, and you get mad thoughts that pop in your head and shit like that. And you think, why the fuck do you think that?
Yeah.
It's the way your mind protects itself and copes with shit.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's quite odd.
And sometimes, sometimes I can be quite quick to temper. You know what I mean? And sometimes it'll just be over stupid shit. It's it was the same with my dad. So when my dad left the army, my dad, well, he was sort of the opposite. I remember my mum and dad, they used to have some right fucking arguments, you know what I mean, while he was in the army. But since leaving the army, he chilled out. He's so chilled out now, you know what I mean, compared to when he was in. It's...
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of marriages break down when, especially like when they've been in here together that long and in that environment, and all of a sudden you're back at home and on top of each other for forever.
Well, I think me and my wife, I think we might be the only ones that we know who are still married from when I was in. I think they might. Pretty much everyone else we know, they've divorced. They've split. They've divorced.
No, it happened to me. It happened to me like 5 years after I got out.
Well, I think what it is as well. Sometimes it's different, innit? When you're in the army, you're away. Like you said, when you're stuck with each other all the time, it's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, I'm laughing about it now. I wasn't at the time.
Yeah. But no, like I said, I enjoy civvy life. I think it helps that I do work with a couple of guys who are ex-military anyway.
Yeah. So what is it you do now?
So I do like safety inspections on lifting equipment and stuff.
Right. Okay.
So we go to like customer sites and inspect all their lifting equipment or like their plant machinery and stuff. Make sure that it's all compliant with like health and safety and things like that.
So do you keep in touch with like the veterans stuff and everything like that? I mean, I've seen like stuff on your online and that.
You know what? I don't. There's a couple of guys I still speak to from when I was in, but again, not many.
Yeah.
That angle's a bit weird. And then, like, you know, you got all these like regimental associations and stuff like that. Again, I don't bother. Yeah, it's just not something that interests me.
I was the same for a long, long time. I remember someone saying to me years and years ago while I was still serving, like when they left, they just went, right, that's it. Don't want nothing to do with the military. And that was the way they dealt with it.
Yeah.
And I thought that's probably a good way of doing it. It's going to help your psyche and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I kind of didn't go to any reunions, hardly spoke to anybody. But to be fair, in the end, that probably did me more harm than good. Because you miss. Again, that thing about loss. I never accepted me leaving the army type of thing because I just there's no fanfare for me or anything like that. Like yourself, I was sent home for a few months gardening leave and just left. You know, nobody said ta-ra or anything like that. It was like just walking out the door.
Yeah.
I remember driving around camp and looking around saying, fucking hell, and then driving away from camp and looking in the rearview mirror thinking, that's my life over there.
Yeah.
And fucking hell, this is a bit scary driving down this road, but there was like, I don't know, I just didn't accept it. And it took me a long time, and it's only recently that that's become apparent. And again, I didn't go anywhere near any like reunions or anything like that. I thought I wouldn't fit in, if you know what I mean. There was that like weirdness of that. And then I went to one. I thought I'd force myself to go to one. And I'd gone through a period where one of the reasons me and the wife split is that we kind of grew apart because I became quite a recluse. And I think it was because of that and everything that had happened.
Yeah.
And I kind of forced myself to go to a reunion. I mean, I remember going down to Newcastle on a bus and I got about halfway and I nearly got off the bus and I thought, I don't want to fucking do this. I'm scared. I was scared.
Yeah.
I went to it and I seen guys I hadn't seen for 20 years. And I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I was like, oh, fucking hell, we're all back together, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it was good for me then. I missed out the next one and then went to another one. And it helped. It did help me. I was thinking, I've been gone too long. Not that anyone, people wouldn't remember me. Fuck me. If anyone served me, they'd always remember me. I was always in the shit.
Yeah.
It really did help. If I was to give anyone advice, I would at least try it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not yet, but in time to come, you may find that'll help. The other thing that's helped me is this. Is fucking talking to people on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's been a hindrance as well. Don't get me wrong, but I've had lots of people who've come on and, like we were talking about before we started recording, have come on and they've opened up more than they would normally.
Yeah.
Especially ones who are strangers to me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than it is to your mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people tell me stuff that they'd never normally dream of some people. And I'm like, do you really want to? Do you want me to leave that in? Because people are going to know about that. And no, it's fine. It's out. I've got it out, and it feels good to get it out. And I'm like, fuck it out.
Yeah.
Some of the shit. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But it's in the future, it may help you to like dabble back into some of the reunions or whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying like to give you advice and stuff like that. Take it with a pinch of salt, but I wouldn't just discount it, type of thing. It was a big part of your life, and from being a child, really. But I'd fucking consider it. So the plans for the future for you? Anything in the pipeline? You've gone again.
Nope, there we go.
Yep, you're back again. Yeah, hello.
Signal's crap, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what the future brings, but I'm happy at the minute, just sort of,
Plodding
just do my
along.
own thing.
Yeah. That sounds it. I mean, you sound fucking happy.
Yeah, like I said,
outbursts.
I've got a good job, paid all right, get left alone. That's all I can really ask for.
Right, I think we'll end it there then, mate. I think everyone's either watching the football in your hotel or watching porn. So that's why the Wi-Fi signal's gone down a bit, I think. I know what I'll be watching.
But no, it's been good, mate. Been brilliant. Thank you.
Right, honestly, again, thank you for coming on. I really
Cheers,
appreciate it.
Thank you
I'll
very
stop
much.
the recording now.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I enjoyed recording it. If you could just hit the like button, and also if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell, that would be great, because it'll help the channel grow. The more people will see it, the bigger it'll get, and the more guests I can get on, and the more people I can talk to. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, like I said. Look forward to the next one. Hopefully we'll be out next week as normal. Bye-bye now.